Welcome to Heartbreaker, your love radio.
In the small, quiet town of Harborville, where every corner held a piece of the lives of its residents, Lamar was known as the young nerd who spent more time in libraries than at parties. With his thick-rimmed glasses and disheveled hair, he always preferred the company of books over fleeting social interactions. However, there was a light in his life: Clara. The beautiful and popular young woman, with her charming demeanor and radiant smile, was the dream Lamar never dared to believe he could reach. They were engaged, and Lamar often lost himself in daydreams about the future they would build together. One morning, while Lamar was preparing for another day of studies, he noticed that Clara was distant. She watched him with an expression he couldn't decipher. "Clara, are you okay?" he asked, concern evident on his face. "Yes, just thinking about some things," she replied, averting her gaze. The silence that followed weighed between them like a dark cloud about to unleash a storm. The following days were marked by this same tension. Clara, who used to delight in seeing Lamar engrossed in his books, now seemed impatient. They met frequently, but their conversations became superficial and full of hesitation. One sunny afternoon, while walking through the town park, Clara finally decided to reveal her feelings. "Lamar, I've been thinking a lot about us," she began, her voice trembling. "You dedicate so much to your studies and your dreams of becoming an engineer. I admire that, but sometimes I feel like you're so focused on a future that hasn't arrived yet, that you don't see what's around you." Lamar frowned, confused. "But I'm doing this for us. So that we can have a better future together. Isn't that what you want?" "I do, but," Clara hesitated, "I don't know if I can keep waiting for something that seems so far away. I feel like we're heading in different directions." Those words hit Lamar like a bucket of cold water. "Are you saying you want to end everything?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper, as his heart seemed to sink in his chest. Clara looked into his eyes, and Lamar saw a mixture of sadness and determination. "I think so. I don't want to be the person who holds you back. I want to enjoy the present more, my youth, my friends. The future is so distant, and it feels like you only look towards it." Desolate, Lamar tried to articulate a response, but nothing seemed sufficient. "I thought we were a team, Clara. That we could face all this together." "I thought so too, but life has changed, Lamar. And I feel we need to be honest with each other," she said, a tear escaping her eyes. The conversation dragged on, each word becoming heavier than the last. Clara was resolute, and Lamar, devastated. The love that once united them now seemed an insurmountable barrier. When Clara finally said goodbye, Lamar stood still, staring into nothingness, as if the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. In his heart, Lamar felt humiliated and desolate. What to do now that the foundation of his life had crumbled? The pain was intense, but there was a spark of determination that began to ignite. Amidst the emotional chaos, he decided that the only way to overcome the pain was to focus on his dream of becoming an engineer. "I can't let this break me," he murmured to himself, as he picked up his books and prepared for a new study routine. He knew he needed to rebuild himself, and the only way to do that was through education. Determined, he applied to several colleges in the capital, setting a clear goal: to turn his pain into motivation. Thus, the small town of Harborville saw Lamar distance himself, not only physically but also emotionally. The pain of the breakup still accompanied him, but he was determined to leave behind the image of a lost young man and become someone respected and admired, perhaps even one day returning to show everyone that he had overcome not only the breakup but also his own limitations. Determined to make something meaningful of his life, Lamar threw himself headlong into his academic ambitions. He spent days and nights studying, immersed in books and notes, as if each turned page was a step towards his freedom. The colleges in the capital were his focus, and he applied to several, each representing a door that could take him far from his hometown and the memories that tormented him. One night, while reviewing a mathematical formula, his mother entered his room. "Lamar, dear, you don't need to study so much. Don't forget to take care of yourself too," she said, worried about her son's state of mind. "I know, Mom. But I need this. I need to stand out," to leave here. I can't stay trapped in this town, and what happened, he replied, his voice trembling but determined. She sighed, realizing that Lamar was irrevocably decided. Just be careful, my son. Don't let this pain consume you. I promise, Mom. This is what I want. And I will achieve it, Lamar said, with a determination that resonated in his eyes. The days passed, and Lamar devoted himself intensely to his studies. He organized his time meticulously, creating a routine that included hours of study, physical exercise, and moments of rest. He knew he needed to keep his mind clear and his body healthy to face the challenges ahead. The goal of being accepted into an engineering college had become his anchor, a purpose that prevented him from sinking into his painful memories. As the entrance exams approached, Lamar found support in some friends who also aspired to the same goal. During a meeting in the library, one of them, Felipe, commented, "Man, you're doing great. Just don't forget to rest a little. It makes all the difference." I know, but every minute counts. I want to leave this town behind and show everyone what I'm capable of, Lamar replied, his gaze fixed on his pile of books. You'll make it, Lamar. And when you're there, in the capital, remember you don't have to carry this weight alone. We're all rooting for you, Felipe said, giving him a pat on the back. These words of encouragement were a balm for Lamar, who felt stronger each day. He isolated himself a bit from what was happening in the town, avoiding anything that might remind him of Clara. Conversations about her and their breakup were a constant reminder of his pain, and he longed for a fresh start, away from the life that had hurt him so much. Eventually, the day of the admission test results arrived. Lamar was nervous, almost paralyzed by anxiety. He and his friends gathered in front of the computer, their hands sweaty and hearts racing. When the results were announced, a shout of joy echoed among them. I did it! I passed! Lamar exclaimed, his eyes shining with happiness. He could hardly believe what was happening. The sense of accomplishment was overwhelming, as if a huge weight had been lifted off his shoulders. I knew you could do it, Lamar. This is amazing! Felipe shouted, jumping with joy. Now it's time to leave this town and build my future, Lamar said, with a smile on his face. He felt that, finally, he was on the right path. Thus, Lamar prepared for the new phase of his life. The town that once imprisoned him now became a distant memory, and he was determined not to look back. For him, engineering was more than a career, it was the key to freedom and the opportunity to reinvent himself, to become someone he had always dreamed of being. And so, with eyes full of hope, he said goodbye to the small Harborville, ready to embrace the possibilities that awaited him in the capital. After breaking off her engagement with Lamar, Clara found herself in a whirlwind of emotions. The afternoons at the clothing store where she worked seemed to drag on, the ticking of the clock on the wall echoing in her mind like a constant reminder of what she had lost. The small space, with its organized shelves and gleaming mirrors, was no longer a place of joy but a setting that imprisoned her in her own dissatisfaction. What have I done? She often wondered while arranging the blouses on the rack. One morning, while attending to a customer, Clara overheard a group of young people animatedly talking about Lamar, who had been accepted into a prestigious engineering college in the capital. Did you hear? Lamar got into one of the best colleges. He was always so dedicated, commented one of the girls, with a sparkle of admiration in her eyes. Clara felt a tightness in her chest upon hearing his name, and the smile she tried to maintain on her face began to fade. Yeah, he was always the nerd of the group, right? But now it looks like he's really going places, replied another, with a tone of disdain that made Clara feel even more anguished. And the worst part is that he was so in love with her. Clara didn't know how to appreciate him. The last sentence hit Clara like a blow, and unintentionally, she let out a deep sigh. The customer she was attending noticed the change in her demeanor and asked with concern, "Are you okay, Clara?" "Yes, just thinking about some things," Clara replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I just need to concentrate on my work." As soon as the customer left, Clara allowed herself a moment of reflection. Looking through the store's window, she saw the hustle and bustle of the city, people coming and going without worries, while she felt trapped in her own indecision. That night, while tidying her room, Clara found an old photo of her and Lamar, taken during one of their many outings together. She was so happy in that picture, with a radiant smile, while Lamar looked at her with palpable affection. The memories began to flood her mind, the laughter, the plans for the future, the promises to always be together. Regret began to turn into a sharp pain. "What was I thinking?" she whispered to herself, tears streaming down her face. The days went by, and although Clara tried to distract herself with work and going out with friends, Lamar's presence always seemed to linger in her mind. She often found herself wondering how he was, how his new life in the capital was going, and if he still thought about her. He must be so happy now, she thought, looking at the starry sky on a quiet night. And I let that slip away. One afternoon, Clara decided she needed to vent. She met her friend Julia at a cafe in town, the aroma of fresh coffee blending with the sound of conversations around them. "Julia, I don't know what to do. I broke up with Lamar, but I feel like I made the wrong choice," Clara confessed, her voice choked with emotion. "But you always said you wanted something different, Clara." "Life in this town was suffocating you," Julia replied, trying to understand. "What changed?" "I thought I'd be happier this way," Clara said, looking at the table, embarrassed. "But now, seeing him excel, I just feel empty. Like nothing makes sense without him by my side." Julia watched her with compassion. "Sometimes, the things we want the most are closer than we think. You could try talking to him, who knows?" Clara shook her head, feeling lost. What if he doesn't want to listen to me? What if he's already moved on? The idea of facing Lamar, now a successful young man, was terrifying. She feared he would see her as someone who didn't appreciate what she had. Days turned into weeks, and Clara's life at the store continued monotonously. The feeling of regret followed her like a shadow, and conversations about Lamar became increasingly frequent among her friends. "He must be doing amazing things," they commented, and with each word, Clara felt a little smaller and more insignificant. One of those afternoons, while organizing new products in the store, a familiar customer walked in. It was Tiago, a friend of Lamar.
Clara.
"Did you know that Lamar got into college? He's doing really well. Everyone's talking about it," Tiago said with an excited smile. Clara forced a smile. "Yes, I heard. I'm happy for him." But the happiness she tried to express wasn't genuine. The weight of regret was crushing her, and she knew she needed to make a decision. Maybe I should try to talk to him, she thought. However, doubt still consumed her, making her hesitate between what she truly wanted and the fear of facing the reality of her choices. In the capital, Lamar immersed himself in a new and vibrant world, far from the small town where he had grown up. With his books piled up on his study desk and unwavering determination, he quickly stood out among the engineering students. The days were long and filled with classes, group projects, and labs, but Lamar didn't let it faze him. With every project he completed, every research paper he presented, he felt he was getting closer to achieving his dream. One night, while working on an infrastructure project involving the construction of a bridge, Lamar was approached by one of his professors, Professor Almeida. With a serious look, the professor said, "Lamar, you have a natural talent. Your work on this project is exceptional. I'm sure companies will be eyeing you as soon as you graduate." Lamar smiled, feeling flattered but also a bit apprehensive. "Thank you, Professor. That means a lot to me. I just want to make a difference in engineering, you know? My hometown deserves a better future." "And you could be the person to bring that future," the professor replied, placing a hand on Lamar's shoulder. "Keep it up and don't be afraid to stand out. The world needs brilliant minds like yours." The professor's words echoed in Lamar's mind as he dedicated himself even more to his studies. He got involved in extracurricular projects, joined research groups, and started networking with professionals in the field. Life in the capital was vibrant and full of opportunities, and Lamar was determined to make the most of them. Over time, he began to form bonds with his classmates. A group of students became his close circle, and amidst laughter and discussions about engineering, Lamar met Ada. She was a young engineer, full of energy and innovative ideas. During one of their work meetings, Ada looked at Lamar and said, "You really stand out in the meetings. Your ideas are always so creative. How do you manage to think outside the box like that?" Lamar was surprised by the compliment. "Oh, thank you, Ada. I've always tried to see things from a different perspective. I believe engineering is more than numbers, it's about solving real problems." Ada nodded, admiring Lamar's passion. "You're right. And speaking of which, I'm leading a project on renewable energy. It would be amazing to have you on the team. What do you think?" "I'd love to join. This is exactly the kind of thing that motivates me," Lamar replied, his excitement evident. The two began working together, and the professional partnership turned into a solid friendship. Lamar felt comfortable around Ada, and their long conversations about engineering, dreams, and even personal life brought new meaning to his days. He began to realize that his feelings for Ada were deepening, but he hesitated to open up. The memory of Clara still haunted him at times, but the life he was building in the capital was vibrant and full of possibilities. One afternoon, while walking across campus after a long study session, Ada, with a playful smile on her face, said, "You know, Lamar, if you keep this up, you'll soon be recognized as one of the best engineers of our generation." Lamar laughed, a bit embarrassed. "Oh, I don't know if that's true. I'm just trying to do my best. But if it happens, I hope you'll be by my side." "I definitely will," Ada replied, winking. "Let's conquer the world together." Their friendship blossomed, and Lamar began to realize that even though his past with Clara was still present in his mind, his life was now filled with new hopes and challenges. He was finally feeling at home, and the longing for his hometown became a distant memory, overshadowed by the excitement of his new journey. Clara walked through the streets of Harborville with a smile that didn't reflect her true emotional state. The shops were bustling with life, the smell of fresh bread from the local bakery filled the air, but inside her, there was an emptiness that seemed to grow each day. The routine at the store where she worked was predictable, and the same conversations about the weather and town events became a monotonous echo in her mind. "Hi, Clara. How are you?" asked Rachel, a longtime friend, while arranging products on the store shelf. "Oh, I'm fine. Just busy with work," Clara replied, trying to hide the sadness in her voice. Rachel observed her with a questioning look. "You don't seem fine. Is everything okay with you?" Clara hesitated, remembering the abrupt end of her engagement. The memory of Lamar, with his shy smile and grand dreams, still haunted her. "Everything's fine. It's nothing serious," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. On a sunny afternoon, while organizing the store shelves, Clara recalled a conversation they had before the breakup. "You know I want to be an engineer, Clara. I want more than a quiet life here," Lamar had said, his eyes shining with determination that captivated her. "But what about us? And our future?" Clara had asked, unsure. "I just need some time. Time to grow, to reach my dreams," Lamar replied, his voice firm but full of love. Now, sitting on a bench in the town square, watching the citizens of Harborville move about, Clara felt lost. What would have happened if she had supported Lamar in his ambitions? If, instead of feeling threatened by his dreams, she had joined him? Regret consumed her, and she found herself wishing she had made different choices. "Clara, you seem so deep in thought. What's going on?" asked Felipe, an acquaintance who sat down next to her. "Just thinking about life, Felipe. Sometimes I wonder if I made the right choices," she replied, looking at the ground. "Sometimes what seems right might not be the best option." "You can still change your path," Felipe said, trying to encourage her. "Yeah, maybe. But what if I don't have the courage? What if I lose what I have now?" Clara reflected, her voice choked with emotion. Felipe looked at her with understanding. "Sometimes, you have to take risks to find what you truly want. Don't be held back by the past." Felipe's words echoed in her mind as she walked home that night. Clara felt the weight of life piling up on her shoulders. The desire for change battled against the fear of the unknown. And as the sky darkened, she wondered if she would ever find her way back to herself, or if she was condemned to live with the regret of not having fought for Lamar's love and her own dreams. After years of study and dedication, Lamar finally graduated with honors, earning not only his degree but also the respect and admiration of colleagues and professors. The graduation ceremony was a moment of great emotion, filled with applause and congratulations. Lamar could barely contain his smile as he received his diploma from his advisor's hands. "You truly deserve this, Lamar. Your effort was exemplary," said the professor, shaking the young engineer's hand. Lamar thanked him, feeling on top of the world. The certainty that he was ready to face the world filled him with enthusiasm. Shortly after, he was recruited by one of the largest engineering firms in the capital. The news was both a relief and a reason for celebration. He had made it. However, the new phase of his life brought challenges. In the corporate environment, Lamar realized that his dedication and talent did not go unnoticed. During a major infrastructure project, Ada was also hired, and the two worked together again. "Lamar, have you thought about how we can optimize this project? I'm thinking of something that could reduce costs by 20%, Ada suggested in one of the meetings. Lamar looked at her, admiringly. "That's amazing, Ada. I never would have thought of that." "Let's work on it together," he replied, feeling a surge of excitement growing inside him. The connection between them grew stronger, and their friendship quickly transformed into something deeper. As the days passed, Lamar and Ada began to spend more time together, not just at work but outside of it as well. Dinners, walks, and conversations that stretched into the late hours of the night became routine. In one of those moments, while walking through the park, Ada looked at Lamar and said, "You know, I've always admired your passion for engineering. You're really inspiring." Lamar smiled, feeling his heart race. "Thank you, Ada. But the truth is, you're also a source of inspiration for me. It's great to have someone so dedicated by my side." Weeks turned into months, and their relationship solidified. They became a team both at work and in their personal lives. The chemistry between them was undeniable, and Lamar began to wonder if this love was what he really needed to be happy. He felt complete by Ada's side, and their conversations were always filled with dreams and plans for the future. "Have you ever thought about where you want to be in 5 years?" Ada asked one night, as they sipped coffee in a cozy cafe. Lamar thought for a moment before responding, "You know, I never thought about it much. But with you by my side, I feel like I can achieve anything." Ada smiled, her eyes shining. "I feel the same way, Lamar. Together, we're stronger." The infrastructure project that brought them together became a great success, and their work received recognition not only from the management but also from clients, further solidifying their positions in the company. They were ready to face new challenges, and the idea of building a future together started to become a palpable reality. While Lamar was living this new phase of his life, he couldn't help but remember Harborville and what he had left behind. The memories of Clara and the relationship they had were still present, but the pain that once consumed him was dissipating, giving way to a new chapter opening before him. The happiness he felt with Ada was intense and genuine, and Lamar knew he was finally on the right path, not only in his career but also in his personal life. On the day Lamar decided to return to Harborville, a mix of excitement and anxiety accompanied him. He was eager to introduce Ada to his parents, but also worried about what he would find in the town he had left behind. The drive down the familiar road brought vivid memories of his youth, of Clara, and the dreams he once had there. As he parked in front of his parents' house, Lamar took a deep breath, adjusting his tie and trying to push away the ghosts of the past. Meanwhile, as Clara left the store where she worked, she noticed some commotion in the street. When she looked up, her heart stopped. It was Lamar, more mature and confident, accompanied by a woman who exuded charm and friendliness. Curiosity consumed her. There was no avoiding it. Clara decided she needed to know what was happening. "Lamar," Clara called, approaching, her voice a mix of surprise and insecurity. Lamar turned, his gaze meeting hers, and a brief moment of silence settled between them. "Clara," he responded, trying to maintain his composure. "What a surprise to see you here." Ada observed the interaction with a friendly smile, but sensed the tension in the air. Lamar, noticing the atmosphere, made the introductions. "This is Ada, my girlfriend. We met in college," he said, with a sparkle in his eyes that did not go unnoticed. Clara forced a smile, trying to hide the whirlwind of emotions that enveloped her. The conversation took a cordial path, but Clara noticed how Lamar looked at Ada, with a sparkle that seemed more than just friendship. It made her feel a pang in her chest, a sense of loss she hadn't expected to resurface so soon. "So how are you, Clara?" Lamar asked, trying to keep the conversation flowing. "I'm fine, working at the store, and life in Harborville is quiet," she replied, a bit colder than she intended. "And you? How's life in the capital?" "It's amazing. I'm working on projects that I really love. And Ada has been an incredible partner," Lamar said, pride evident in his voice. Clara felt a stab of jealousy, even knowing she no longer had the right to feel that way. His happiness was palpable, and the comparison to her own life made her uncomfortable. "That's good to hear, Lamar." "I'm happy for you," Clara said, but the sincerity in her words was lost in the shadow of her insecurities. Ada, sensing the tension, tried to steer the conversation in a different direction. "And you, Clara, do you have any plans for the future? Any dreams you want to follow?" she asked, genuinely interested. The question caught Clara by surprise. What did she really want? Recently, she had just settled into the routine of the store and the small joys the town provided. But now, facing Lamar, everything seemed clearer. "Well," Clara hesitated, searching for the right words. "I always thought about studying more, pursuing something that really fascinated me, but I ended up staying here, you know how it is." Lamar observed her, his gaze filled with a mix of empathy and understanding. He knew that feeling, the sensation of being trapped in a life that didn't fully belong to him. "You can still do that, Clara. It's never too late to start over," he said sincerely. His response hit her like a punch in the stomach. Clara felt a wave of regret, a deep desire to have made different decisions. The life she had led seemed increasingly stifling, while Lamar stood there, accomplished and happy. Maybe one day I will," Clara replied, her voice almost a whisper. Lamar noticed the sadness in her eyes, but the conversation didn't last much longer. As they said their goodbyes, Clara felt that the encounter had left her more confused than ever. Lamar and Ada walked away, side by side, and she stood on the sidewalk, watching them disappear around the corner. The life she had chosen seemed even more limited, and the possibilities she had let slip away began to echo in her mind. Lamar and Ada, now a solid and happy couple, were about to embark on a new professional journey that promised to be a milestone in their careers. The proposal to lead an international project had come as a surprise, but also as a validation of all the effort and dedication they had put into their professional lives. It was the opportunity they both had been waiting for to show the world what they were capable of doing together. One afternoon, while discussing the project details at a cafe near their company, Lamar looked at Ada with a sparkle in his eyes. "Do you realize what this means? We're going to work on something that can change many lives," he said, excitement evident in his voice. Ada smiled, her enthusiasm reflecting his. "Yes, and it's amazing to think that we'll be responsible for something so significant. I always dreamed of working on a project with real impact, and now by your side, I feel we can make it happen." They talked animatedly about the possibilities, ideas flowing, and the chemistry between them was palpable. Every sketch they made, every plan they discussed, seemed to reinforce not only their careers but also the relationship they had built. "I was thinking," Ada began hesitantly. "What if we made an impressive presentation for our first meeting with the client? Something that really shows our vision and passion for what we do." Lamar, always practical, laughed. "You know I love a good challenge. Let's do it. And let's add a special touch, something that reflects who we are as a team." He paused, looking at Ada seriously. Ada, I really believe we can turn this project into something extraordinary. She returned his look, realizing that what they felt for each other wasn't just attraction or professional admiration, it was something deeper. Lamar, I believe that too. And it's not just about the project. It's about us. Working by your side has been an incredible experience, and I can't imagine doing this with anyone else. As they prepared for the big presentation, Lamar and Ada spent hours perfecting every detail. They worked in a space that was both an office and a refuge, surrounded by plants that brought a bit of nature indoors and by pictures that reflected their ambitions and inspirations. One of those nights, while reviewing the slides, Ada looked at Lamar with a mischievous smile. Did you remember to include that statistic about sustainability? That will make all the difference. Of course. How could I forget? It's what makes our project not only viable but also responsible, he replied, laughing. And we still need to add our innovative approach. We can't miss showing how we'll overcome the obstacles. Their excitement was palpable, but there was an underlying subtext that they both felt. The project wasn't just a professional opportunity, it was a step toward a future together. Lamar realized that with Ada by his side, he had found someone who not only challenged him to be better, but also shared his dreams and ambitions. The opposite of Clara, who had only held him back in the past. The day of the presentation finally arrived. Sitting in the conference room, surrounded by executives and industry experts, Lamar and Ada exchanged encouraging looks. Before they began, Lamar whispered, "We're ready for this. Let's show the world what we can do." Ada nodded, her heart racing. "Let's do this together." The presentation was a resounding success. Lamar and Ada's passion and dedication shone through in every word, and the reception of their proposal was warm. They left the conference room with a sense of accomplishment, knowing that together, they were ready to face any challenge that came their way. As they walked back to the office, Lamar turned to Ada with a smile that lit up his face. "I couldn't have done this without you. You really are the best partner I could wish for, both at work and in life." Ada, touched by his words, smiled back. "And I feel like we're just getting started. The best is yet to come." With the certainty that they were building not only a career but a future together, Lamar and Ada felt ready for whatever came their way. The international project led by Lamar and Ada was a true milestone in their lives. The team, composed of experts from various parts of the world, was focused on an ambitious project that promised to transform the infrastructure of an underserved region. The weeks of intense work brought challenges, but also moments of joy and camaraderie, and the couple stood out not only for their competence but for the way they managed to unite their skills and visions. One morning, while reviewing plans in one of the company's offices, Ada looked at Lamar with a smile that lit up her face. "Do you remember when all this seemed like a distant dream?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Lamar, with a satisfied expression, replied, "Yes, and how I dreamed of this. Every sleepless night, every tough exam, every tear. It was all worth it." He remembered his life in Harborville, the point he was at before embarking on this journey, and how the pain of breaking up with Clara had driven him. "Having you by my side made everything so much easier, Ada. You're the partner I always wanted." Ada, moved, felt a warmth in her heart. "And you are the man I always admired. Your determination is contagious, Lamar. I'm so happy we're together on this journey." As time passed, their relationship solidified. On a quiet night after a long meeting, Lamar decided it was the right time to take an important step in his life. He arranged a special dinner at a cozy restaurant in the city center. Ada, anxious and curious, arrived at the location and found Lamar waiting for her, with a broad smile and a bouquet of flowers in his hand. "For you, my favorite engineer," he said, handing her the flowers. "Thank you, Lamar. You're so romantic," Ada exclaimed, lightly touching the delicate petals. "What are you planning for tonight?" Lamar looked into her eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "Ada, we've been through so much together, and I feel that each challenge has brought us closer. I don't want to just be your professional partner, I want to be your partner in life. Will you marry me?" Ada was silent for a moment, surprised and emotional. Do you really want this? I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything now. Just know that I love you and want to build a future with you, Lamar replied, holding her hand firmly. Tears began to slide down Ada's face, but they were tears of happiness. Yes, Lamar. Of course, yes. I accept. The couple embraced, and the emotion of the moment enveloped them in a warmth that seemed to warm the soul. The dinner was a celebration of the love and dreams that were about to come true. The wedding ceremony was simple but full of meaning. Friends and colleagues gathered in an outdoor space, decorated with soft lights and flowers. Lamar and Ada exchanged vows that reflected the journey they had traveled together. I promise to support you in every step, to celebrate your victories, and to face challenges by your side, Lamar said, looking into Ada's eyes with sincerity. And I promise to be your partner in all life's adventures, to love and respect you always, Ada replied, her voice firm and full of emotion. The applause echoed, and Lamar's happiness was palpable. He felt complete, surrounded by people who supported and loved him. Every challenge he faced, every pain he felt, had led him to that moment of joy and fulfillment. In the city of Harborville, Clara watched the street activity through the window of the store where she worked. The small town had always been a place of familiar routines, where every face was known and every piece of news spread like wildfire. But behind the smile she presented to customers, there was a whirlwind of emotions she struggled with daily. Whenever someone mentioned Lamar, her heart tightened, and she found herself immersed in memories she preferred to forget.